Hello, everyone. With us today, we have Nadia Yanuziello. And Nadia, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Carla, for having me here. It's so beautiful to connect with you, and we have so much in common. It's just been so fun already leading up to this. So I can't wait for today. I am a bioenergetic therapist, a yoga teacher, a Reiki master. I'm certified in chakra balancing. I'm a mom to a beautiful 4-year-old. I'm actually a single mama, and I'm a co-founder of Rise Wellness Collective, which is my wellness company, which I co-founded with Jillian Locke, who is also a speaker here. Thank you so much for giving us both opportunity to be a part of this incredible vision you've had. I'm so excited.
Oh, you're welcome. I just felt like you guys were meant to be here, and I so love that you guys both are here. Um, so, what is one of your life mantras?
Yes. Okay. I love that you said that. So we talked a little bit about some of the things we might say today, and I really just wanted it to come organically because that's something that just evolves. It comes with you and it adapts with you. It started off as something different when I was younger. I guess I've always kind of had little life mantras and things to support me through various circumstances. Like when I was young, I loved the movie The Labyrinth and with Jennifer Connelly. And she actually had this statement: you have no power over me. And so anytime I feel like a victim or I feel frustrated with life circumstances and like disempowered, and I know that this is an empowerment summit, so that just came up for me because even in doing my own cord cutting ritual the other weekend, it was just so strong what was coming through me, that reminder of any time I feel tied to something connected or powerless, just to state that, to become clear that I am the source of my own power. That's another one. And any circumstance or person outside of me that I feel is taking power or life or energy away from me, or making me feel defeated or small or not enough, I can remind myself, you have no power over me. Nothing, no circumstance or person has any power over us. It's all a choice in how we show up. And also, we can also remind ourselves, I've already left that, because sometimes we get caught in the past. And something that my dear friend, she's an amazing she works with crystals, she sources crystals, she's my crystal cavern.
Mhm.
And she said that to me actually when we were talking about my separation and leaving behind, but having to kind of still go through addressing and going back into the past because I was going through court and all of this stuff. So having to revisit things and address them and speak to them can be very re-traumatizing. And like having even to go back into my old house to take items before we sold it, she just reminded me to say to myself, I've already left that. I've already left that. Like, that's not my life anymore. I've already chose different. And even if I have to memories, whether it's through physical spaces, through dealing with people, or being put in circumstances where you're having to be in that moment again, we can still remind ourselves, I've already left that. And I'm not who I was. I'm not who I was.
Right.
So, and then my last one that I would share is me and Jillian are strong believers. And I actually heard this through Amy Elizabeth. And I had an amazing private session that I was gifted from her after my separation. And she said to me, it's happening for you. So that's something I've reframed. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Everything's happening for you. So just to remember those things, to remind you of how strong and competent and worthy and capable you are, and that you're not a victim. You're not a victim, and there's so much available for you.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, what's a book that has helped shape you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many amazing books, but the two that come to top of mind are The Four Agreements. I was on Bumble, and my dating profile was literally like, if you were the president, what would be something that you enforced, or like what was a law that you would create? And I was like, everyone has to read the book The Four Agreements. That was my lot. So it was really fun because a lot of the times when I'd be dating someone, that would come up, and a lot, like so many people ended up buying that book because of that. And it's really awesome because I just feel like that book really helped me become connected to what's meaningful in life. And I think that's the most important, to really decondition. We're so conditioned, whether we're aware of it or not, by the way we were brought up. And some of that is positive. It's not all negative, but just being able to get to the clarity of mind and where is this belief coming from? Because sometimes they're limiting beliefs, and sometimes they're
Right.
things that can lead to self-sabotage or can create pressures and disconnect us from what's truly meaningful and true for us. Everything feels real, but those agreements are something that we can all follow, to use our word with such, our words have power, right? And it's like casting a spell in what we say, what we believe. So if we can recognize the power of our words and use them with intentionality, I think that we'll leave the world a lot less traumatized, right? Because if we know our impact, but then also this rule of doing your best and also not taking things personally, which is definitely one I struggle with the most.
It was one of mine too.
Yeah.
You're like you
And my love language is words of affirmation. So the 5 love languages, that was a really big gift when I was guided to know about that. And I came to discover words of affirmations is my number 1 love language. So of course, I end up being called into, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I had to choose something to major in university. So I ended up going to York University. I got my bachelor's in communication studies and psychology. But communication studies taught me, like, be impeccable with your words, because you can't take it back. Once you put it out in the world, you can't take it back. And so all of this is like the layering into knowing your power, knowing your worth, knowing that you don't have to tolerate toxic behavior. If someone's poisoning you with their words, you don't have to take it personally, but you always have the personal power to transform the circumstance, right? You can walk away, you can teach people it's not okay and how you want to be treated, but then it becomes their choice in how they show up, and they're the ones responsible for what they're using in their words, what they're saying to you, their energy. But you always need to learn to honor yourself and know that you're worthy of receiving love in whatever form feels best for you, right?
right. And earlier we were talking about chakra balancing. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes. So there's so many different chakras, but we usually like to focus on the 7 main chakras, which the root chakra is at the base. So if you're starting from around the feet and all the way up to around the tailbone area, and that's usually associated with the color red. And then we move up into the sacral area, which is so much about, like, that's the sexual organs are housed there. And it's connected to feelings, but in a very deep rooted way. So if anybody follows human design, that's like the sacral energy. So when you have a defined sacral, like, it's like this fire, this passion, this creativity. And when you have a defined sacral, or it's your authority, that's actually where you get lit up and you feel this purpose and this call and this excitement, like a flutter almost. And it feels different in everyone. I am a defined sacral, but I'm emotional authority. Are you? Oh, I love that. Are you sacral authority? Oh, amazing. I love that so much. There's just something I get so lit up and inspired by people with sacral authority, because that passion, that purpose, that drive towards something, like letting your desires lead you. I think that it's something that for women, it's in the past been this like taboo thing, and we're really healing that and we're allowing it to rise up and lead. And it's such a beautiful thing to witness when women are pursuing their passion, their purpose, their fire is not being put out, but encouraged and nurtured. And so I love this summit because it's so much about that. And whether you have a defined sacral or you don't, we all have access to this portal, this energy. And as women, like, we're literally the only ones that have the ability, the option, the choice to create life, literally. So we're like these amazing, powerful portals for so much, whether you choose to put that into artwork, whether you choose to write books, whether you choose to heal the world, like whatever it is, or give birth, like there's just so much power in how it's channeled. And so a lot of the times shame disconnects us from that, or like fears. And that's what I love with bioenergetic therapy, is being able to clear these blocks that connect us deeper into our bodies, into ourselves, so that we're rooted into ourselves. We're opening up that portal within us, and we're igniting that fire. We're reconnecting with it so that we can channel it into our purpose in this world and discover what that is. Because in the past, a lot of the times, we've been made to dull down, to dim down, to be quiet, to stay behind the curtain, to not be seen. But now it's like the invitation to take the stage and shine your brightest, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be working with people in this way that we're balancing and harmonizing all these chakras. So if you move up, then it's the area in the abdomen, navel area, which is like connected with this beautiful yellow golden light. And it's that sense of self-belief, self-esteem, self-worth. And we actually are gifting, me and my business partner are gifting this beautiful 4-week course that is very much about that as well. So we can get deeper into that later, but it's that sense of worthiness and belief in yourself, so that you can feel confident and know your power. And therefore it makes it easier to move forward, to know clarity, and to take action, whatever that is, or inaction, remove yourself, which takes courage as well, to say no to things that don't light you up, and to listen and honor that sacral inner knowing, right? So that we can keep the fire alive inside of us and not burn it out, because we're just depleted from giving to everybody at the expense of ourselves, and overachieving, overgiving, and dimming ourselves down. And then when you move up into your heart, it's like that ability to open, to give and receive love and forgiveness, and to feel courage and to express that. So that the heart is, various colors are associated with that. So you can either have pink, which is very the soft feminine energy. The green is more the masculine side of that, masculine, feminine being energetic, not gender. And then when you move a little bit into the even higher, where you're connecting with the throat and the heart, it's like this beautiful ocean, turquoise, aquamarine kind of color. And that's really what I've come to realize is my power chakra energy, where it's so much about speaking with love and clarity, that I'm able to guide people, to nurture people, to have the compassion, but also the courage to say what's needing to be said, to shine a light on something, to guide people to their harmony. And that's actually our mantra within our business, Rise Wellness Collective. We want to be those guides to help you come home to harmony within yourself and all areas of your life, right? And sometimes the reality of our lives can feel really scary and daunting. But when you're in this space that's safe, we do virtual sessions, we do in-person retreats and workshops. We're in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. But like, what's great about Zoom is we can do everything. And with being Reiki masters, you collapse time and space. So it reaches you wherever you are. So I have clients in Vancouver, like, you know, in California, like all over the world, because it doesn't matter. We can reach you, right? And I'm sure you're in that same situation, Carla, right? And
Oh,
this
absolutely. I have them in Europe and all over the place. Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing. And it's just so powerful because it is so profound and abundant that there's no limits on how far it can reach. You just have to trust and believe and allow yourself to show up to receive. But a lot of the times, like some of the most common blocks are in the throat and in the heart, because people aren't speaking their truth, and their hearts, there's something weighing heavy. There's trauma, there's grief, there's sadness, there's sense of loss of self, or the ideal life that they desire. There's disappointments, and then it blocks us. And when the energy is not flowing through all of the chakras, everything starts to become imbalanced, and then we're out of harmony, and we're in dis-ease, which then leads to physical disease in the body. So everything gets affected. Each chakra is connected to the physical body, the emotional body, the mental, and the spiritual. And it all starts as like initially these spiritual warnings. But if we're so disconnected, if we're so blocked inside of ourselves, almost like having little knots, right? If it's like a knot, but it starts spiritual, but we're ignoring the signs and the little nudges to be like, hello, something's off here, and we're not doing the work to harmonize it, then it moves into the next layer and it starts to get much more real in our experience as a human on earth. So it might then become a more extreme wake-up call. So if it's starting as like an intuitive thought and you're ignoring it because you're too caught up in your world and you're just too stuck in like, well, I got to get this done, I don't have time for that, and we're ignoring it and pushing it down, and then it's literally a buildup, right? Like it's getting heavier and bigger inside of us, and it's going to start taking up more space, and it's going to start to affect us more significantly because it gets louder and louder and louder, because it's trying to call your attention that something needs to shift, or you're creating a buildup, almost like literally a pipe in your sink, and you put hair in the drain and it's getting blocked and you're not unclogging it, and so there's more coming down, and like you're pouring food and it's just going to keep going, and the pressure's building because life doesn't slow down for us. So if we're not doing the work to unclog that, we're just putting more, stuffing more into it and not processing it and clearing the passageway for beautiful, harmonious material to come through, and for the flow and the ease and the harmony and the relief, right? Like, you know, that feeling of letting something out, and it's like, whoo, like you feel expansive and you feel lighter and you feel free and you feel like you can breathe easily. That's that energy. It's like being restricted and constricted and confined versus being fully expanded and available and in your true essence and in harmony, and like you can just wake up and go without feeling like you're struggling and in pain and suffering and in survival. It gives you the space to thrive and to breathe and to feel the ease and to receive what's truly meant to you and attract that to you, because there's the universal law, like energy attracts like energy. So if what's inside of you is congested and stifled and blocked and toxic, then you're going to call more experiences, circumstances, people to you that align with what you're operating with and from, because what comes out is going to be what's inside. So we really get to this root of where things are stagnant, blocked, where the trauma is, where the fear is. We clear that in an energy session or in a chakra balancing. We can identify which chakras are needing opening and balancing and harmonizing. And then we create this beautiful flow for your intuition to come through, for the clarity to come through, for the guidance. Sometimes that comes through in a channeled message, whether it's through the person doing your session directly, through music, through your own insights. But it makes space for things to actually land and flow, because we have this beautiful pathway between us and our higher selves or spirit or whatever you believe in, nature. You can literally be out for a walk, see a cardinal, and that inspires you. And now you have like your sacral fire lit, and you have that ability to recognize and see with clarity, whether it's through your third eye or this knowing in your crown, which is very much that higher self connection to the 12th council, your spirit guides, like whatever you believe in, and this ability to let yourself connect deeply with yourself and something bigger than you, and then recognize what action that's meant to translate into. So all of the chakras are so pertinent to harmony and balance in our own lives, in our own selves, and in our evolution, because we'll receive what is going to be the next step, the next move, and where we're meant to flow, because things are meant to flow and change. And if we get too attached and too stagnant and too stuck and scared, we get trapped in that space, and then we start to feel like the victims of our life circumstances, and we feel disempowered because we don't know what to do. We feel like life is happening to us instead of realizing it's happening as the opportunity for something greater.
Right, right. Happening to us instead of through us. Like we have no
Mm.
power. That's amazing. So, can you give me an example of a fear story and what it does to energy?
Absolutely. A really big one is fear of rejection. So a lot of people are hiding, whether consciously or unconsciously, and rejecting themselves, abandoning themselves. There's a really big wound of this fear of abandonment, right? Not wanting to be left behind. There's also that fear of missing out. But then a lot of the times we block our own selves, we sabotage our own selves because we don't want to show up because we think that we're going to be judged and rejected for who we are, for what we're experiencing, like we're other, and that it's never enough. That feel, it's all rooted in this feeling of not enoughness. And oftentimes the human, the ego, will take over and try to logically control all of the circumstances, which then leads to more disempowerment because we can't change or control anything outside of us, right? Even if we do our absolute best, we can't, like, free will and autonomy, and that's a beautiful thing. But when we're trying to dictate our life and change it because we don't trust and have faith in, the divine unfolding and flow of things, then that lack of trust leads to us controlling everything and trying so hard and striving, and this imbalance between the feminine and the masculine energies, that we become our masculine control energy surfaces through our ego's defense and fear, that we start to do more than be. And then there's actually imbalance in that because we are trying to fix, solve, save, protect, and we become like these warriors that can never shut off or take the shield down. And we're always shielding ourselves from danger, that we're actually blocking our hearts from the love and from the enjoyment. And we're kind of stuck in the doing and the overdoing.
Right.
But it just leads to feeling burnt out, depleted, and disappointed. Like nobody's doing enough for you because you're not available to open to receive it, which is such a feminine energy, to soften and to let the love in, to open to receive the love and to feel the joy with things as they are, to see that there's so much perfect in the now. There's so much power in the now. And sorry, that was my other favorite book that changed my life, Power of Now.
Power of Now.
Sorry, I forgot to share that one.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you're right. I mean, the more we just get into the doing and the masculine energy, we just get so stuck in that. And then we also have the idea that everybody has to be doing and we're not receiving. So we think that, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. So what are some of your personal practices and how do they positively support your personal growth and evolution?
Yes, journaling has been a big one. Coaching has been a big one. Journaling is really amazing though, because a lot of the times we are going through our lives and you really have to intentionally pause and find room to pause, because if you don't make space to pause, our world, like Western society, is not designed for the pause. Like you're made to feel guilt and shame if you're not productive, right? So that's also part of the deconditioning, being able to give yourself permission to rest, even if that rest isn't like literal sleeping, but you're allowing yourself to just stop doing, to be in the being, that feminine energy of just not Netflix. Like I know that has its place too. Sometimes you just want to be able to debunk and be mindless and whatever. But it's also really essential to connect with your emotions, to be able to tune in and to go through this process, this evolution. So we talked about, that space of processing, because a lot of the times we have these trapped emotions, and that's those blocks in the chakras and the fears and the things accumulating. If we're not making space for the insights to come through, then we're going to be less inclined to catch ourselves in that state of disorientation, of being stuck, of being stagnant. If you can be with yourself, then you're going to be more likely to know yourself, to have the self-knowership, to recognize when there is an imbalance, when there is a trapped emotion, when there is a need to process, to pause, to do the work. And so for me, some of these practices are having a bath, being with my crystals, meditating. I use candles as a tool for release. I am grateful that I have the skills of Reiki so that I can give myself that energy of support to nurture, to heal, to release, to receive life force energy and chi to my body in all areas, to create the flow and the harmony no matter what. Like I don't have to book a session because I have that available to me, but even still, sessions are so powerful because sometimes you're so in your stuff. Having somebody provide the coaching or be that channel for you to receive the message that's intended for you, but they're non-biased to that, they become this mirror to you so that you can truly witness yourself where you're at, recognize where you're at, recognize and hear what your need, be faced with something and respond to it. Because sometimes when it's just on us, we're avoiding it, whether we're intending to avoid it or not, or we're abandoning ourselves, we're neglecting ourselves, or we're so disorganized. Again, these are like the different attachment styles. Everybody has their own or a combination of ones, but this is where we get into unhealthy attachment to things, to experiences, to beliefs, to habits, to people, where we go down a toxic path because we're dependent on something outside of ourselves to provide the relief. And it's not the healthy relief or release, right? Whereas when you're doing these sessions, it can be scary because you don't know what you're going to have to be faced with. It can be hard to hear the truth, like hard truths, but we're all capable of hearing it. We're all capable of facing it. But we have to come to recognize that. We have to come to recognize our own strength. And we have to be trusting ourselves to be led and surrendering our egos, because our egos are trying to keep us safe and they mean well, but sometimes the ego is so dominant that it blocks that soul's inner intuitive guidance and that compass, that knowing. It creates this resistance that keeps us in the actual danger, the fear, or the suffering and the survival, because we're scared of the change. We're scared of the unforeseen. We're scared of the lack of guarantee. We want the guarantee, but we don't get that until we move. But we have to trust in ourselves. We're going to be okay no matter what, and that we're being led to something better. We can trust that there's something better on the other side, even though you don't have the guarantee of it. But then you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, right. Imagine I didn't do that. It always works that way, but we have to trust. We have to trust in the proof of our past, but we have to give ourselves permission to move towards what our soul and our heart knows is in our highest good. But we have to have this courage because there is that fear. What if it is something negative? But you have to believe in yourself to know you'll be okay no matter what.
Right. What is, and that's beautiful. And I think that's why us as healers and coaches, we're always working with somebody ourselves, a mentor, a coach, a healer, just so that we can also see where our blocks are to keep moving forward, because it's all about the expanding and just like your soul, and just, it's beautiful. What would be one thing that somebody could work on starting today, even if they weren't ready to reach out for somebody, that would make a difference for them?
I love that. This might sound really simple, but sometimes simple is truly better because we overcomplicate our lives. I speak to that very pointing to myself right here. I overcomplicate so much, but sometimes we just have to remember to come into our hearts, to move out of our heads, to stop, literally, physically, mentally stop. Meditation is such a beautiful practice, right? Where you can just be with yourself, try to shift your mind into that stillness. And it might be really difficult. Like, it might be frustrating. You might avoid it because you feel like I've heard so many people say, I can't meditate.
Yeah, me too.
But that in itself is meditation, the awareness that you're so on that to turn essentially off and come into stillness is that foreign to your body, to your mind, to get your mind to stop, to try to get ahead of the monkey mind. That is the meditation. And just to continue to practice that, that's something you can start to continue to show up and make space to be still, because it's in that stillness that we can allow ourselves to arrive at what we're meant to know. And that knowing is that spiritual connection, that spiritual guidance, whether it's through a dream, whether it's through like being in the present enough to see something being communicated, whether that's angel numbers, feeling called to look something up online. Honestly, that's how I was led. I was not born into this life, but things changed in my circumstances that led me down a different path. You know, a very close member of my family going through cancer and feeling like you have another chance at life because she survived it. And she was someone so pertinent in my life that I really took for granted. Even like when it was happening, I was too young to really process it. So that processing happened years later, almost like a decade later. And I went through this grief as if I'd almost actually experienced the loss, because it hit me so hard. The awareness, like, oh my gosh, I could have lost her. And then everything transformed. I started to eat organic. I started to minimize the toxic, like, things I was consuming, what products I was using. I started to become so intentional, so mindful. I started to get into Reiki, and it was through Reiki I'd have these sessions, and in that space, someone was holding space for me, and I could channel clarity, and I knew what actions had to be taken. And then I'd start to have dreams. Like, I woke up and I'd keep waking up and I'd keep shedding layers of my ego that were holding me in the darkness, holding me back from my truth. And I would be willing every time a little bit more and a little bit more to get closer and closer to what's true and to be honest with myself without judgment. Because when we judge ourselves, we diminish ourselves, we reject ourselves. But if you can get into the space of self-love and compassion and gratitude that everything has happened for you and it's leading you closer to something that's truly for you. So I invite you to ask the question of, how am I honestly feeling about my life, about myself, about this situation? Like, just be with yourself, be still, and invite the question of, how do I feel truly? And what would my highest self, or what would my God, or what would nature, or whatever you believe in, what am I meant to know? What is true in this moment? And what is in my highest good to know? And also to ask to be led. If you're in a place of darkness, if you're feeling stuck or hopeless or afraid, to actually open your heart, not from that place of ego or trying to change it or feeling down on your luck, but actually from your heart. If you feel lost, if you feel broken, if you feel scared, if you feel alone, if you feel unprotected, actually coming into this space of self-love and opening your heart to say, please guide me. Please guide me to who is going to support me. Please guide me to what is meant for me. Please guide me to the space where I can thrive. Please guide me to what is meant to support me through this period, so that I can heal, so that I can become whole, so that I can be connected, so that I can stay rooted and feel safe and secure in myself, not in what I've known, not attached like this false sense of security, but actually secure, actually rooted in what's truly harmonious for me. Lead me to my harmony, please. Provide me the tools, the resources, the support, the people that are going to connect me with my heart, my soul, my truth. And if you can invite that, and then trust what's coming is coming for you as an answer to that, essentially like prayer to the universe or whoever or whatever you believe in. And it's your higher self that you're aligning to, that you're stepping towards. And if you can keep taking those steps with trust and not look back, not cling to the past out of fear of what's unforeseen, but trust that it's something so beautiful up ahead, then you're going to be led. And it's going to be really a magical experience.
Yeah. And you get magically led and things just show up in your life that you're like, wow, I never expected that because I was so clinging to the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so afraid. I couldn't even open my eyes to see it because I didn't want to face what's here right now. I felt weak. I felt afraid. I felt like a victim. But if you remember your power, your truth, and your strength, you can move through fire. You can literally move through these experiences that feel like they're going to burn you and destroy you, but then you move through and you're like, oh my God, I got through that. Like, I'm so capable. I'm so competent. I'm so powerful. And the universe is so abundant. It always provides for me. It always supplies life for me. And I have this beautiful life force energy flowing through me. It's available, but I have to do the work every day to support it and the flow and keep that passageway clear. And so that is like everything I do is to support having the clarity, having the peace on all layers of the body, the spiritual connection, the mental connection, like being with my thoughts and not always believing them, but also allowing them to flow to me, letting my emotions flow. And I know that there's not always opportunity every point of every day, but making a point every day to be available to whatever emotionally is coming through, because I think we need more permission. As I mean, men have been shamed for having emotions, and that's not okay. Women have been made to feel like all we are is emotional, so you want to try to prove that you're more than that. So you like, we all reject that for different reasons. But if we can start to support and nurture each other and ourselves for emotions, no matter our genders, no matter our age, no matter our roles in this world or our positions in our companies or whatever, if we can actually trust that how you feel matters and being available to receive the insights from that is part of staying connected and rooted and strong. And strong is not about shutting it down, but allowing it to move through so you're not blocked by your emotions and you're not controlling yourself or dismissing yourself for having them or making it mean something negative about you. So loving yourself through everything and knowing you're meant to experience the full spectrum, because we've asked to be having this human experience. So that means the lows, you don't have to live in them, but letting them be there as a teacher to guide you to see where you're at in your life so that you can know what's truly going on. So you can be available and be honest with yourself and recognize when you're in survival, recognize when something's out of whack, when something is not harmonious for you. It's there to show you something is needing to move, needing to shift, needing to evolve. And so being available to receive what that is, what's needing to be cleared and reframed and shifted so that you can get to that other side. And then when you have that available to you, not being unavailable for the joy, for the love, for the harmony, opening ourselves up and actually being present and available for it. Because a lot of the times we have this upper limit and we set this set point. It's like, no, life has to be hard. Life has to be a struggle. Life has to be work. I have to earn this to be above the line. And then so we actually sabotage ourselves and bring ourselves down unconsciously, or we do it to each other, right? Like judge people as like, who does she think she is? No, I don't get to have that. You don't get to have that. But I love this one, Dr. Jordan Wiggins, I think is her name. She does a lot of work with women, allowing them to like receive pleasure, to like really start to access that pleasure and release the shame around it. And she said that I'll have what she's having. I'll have what she's having. So shifting that to be like, instead of feeling lack or not enoughness, and then it makes this like competitive disconnection of like resentment, bitterness, and leads you into that low.
Mhm.
Just opening yourself up to be like, I witnessed that, I love that, I'll have some of that. Like,
Right.
yeah, that looks good to me. I want to feel that. I want to experience that. And then you invite that into your life versus, oh, who are they? Why did they have more than me? Why am I not that person? You can be that person too. You have to decide you're that person and that you're a match for that life. And then you have to make the moves to align with it, you
Right,
know?
right. And one of the things I've always thought was a big thing was how as women we can be super competitive and we value certain gifts over others, but if we're like what you're talking about, we're loving and supportive, and the amazing things that we can do together as we support each other and just honor each other's gifts and power and just the beauty of who we are.
What a different world.
Right, right.
Community over competition, right? And they say competition or no, comparison is the killer of joy.
Yeah.
So it's what you do with your eyes. Like see the beauty, see the abundance, believe in more than enough available to you, not being in this scarcity mindset of lack, but really choosing the abundance, choosing to align with harmony and love. And when you go into that place, doing the work to move yourself, to utilize it, to shift it into the gold, right? Like taking that and not living in the mud, but like the lotus as a perfect example, or the phoenix as these perfect metaphors for you can literally grow in the mud and become this like abundant, rich flower that it's just like, wow, it's one of a kind. Who else gets to be this fully expressed like goddess when that was the trenches they moved out of? And it's like, how inspiring is that? Like, be the inspiration, be that light in the world that it's like, life was not handed to me on a silver platter, and I'm proud of that. Look at what I've overcome. Look at what I've risen beyond in my life. That makes me so much stronger. That makes me more whole. I'm not going to make it be this story of like, poor me, but it's like, you know what? I went through that, and guess where I am now? Like, don't stop until you get to where you desire to be, because you're just a few steps behind where you desire to be. Like, you know, we're always going to want more. So in the moment, take the time to integrate the lessons, to be with yourself, to appreciate how far you've already come in your journey, and also continue to aspire to everything you desire to experience. If you're in this challenge, in the tough stuff, that's the time. Don't be hard on yourself. Be grateful for everything you've already experienced, and pull up the good. Like, pull that beauty out, because it's always available. We always have the choice to remember the good in our lives, to remember our own power, our own beauty, and not just physical, like our own hearts. Our hearts are so full, and we have so much life inside of us to live, so much vitality. But if we start to feed the story of fear and lack and not enoughness, then we believe what we think, right? We believe our thoughts, and we can let that lead us down, and it can be this downward spiral. So choose to rise no matter what. Choose to believe you are the flower. And like, there's the mud there, but it's actually nurturing your ability to grow and bloom and become so vibrant and inspiring, and for you to be the beauty and the uniqueness that others look to for inspiration.
Yeah. And tell us about your free gift, because that just feeds into all of what you were just saying.
I would love to. So it was actually a vision that Jillian, my business partner, and I had, and I am so grateful, because something that it now who I am, I've really come to know myself. Like, I've really come to learn my purpose, which is harmony, and who I am in this world, and I've accepted my uniqueness. I actually have learned to love and embrace that about me, because it makes me be able to do the work I do, which I've seen transformed people's lives and their experiences. Like, when you get to hear somebody say, I don't remember the last time I smiled or laughed the way I am now post sessions. Like, I don't remember being this much myself. I get it, because this work does that for me. So it's just so deeply enriching and soul nurturing that when you can gift people the opportunity to be guided, because, you know, everyone has different experiences they're going through and different limitations, real or personal, you know, sometimes it's monetary. And so when we can provide something that nothing is lost, just because it's free doesn't mean that there's not a value, right? Like we can't always let the physical world value equate to the extreme transformations that can happen. Like just because it's free doesn't mean it's not as valuable as something that costs like $5,000. You can't equate it based on price. So we actually offered this initially as a 4-week free program, and then it became a paid program, and we had a huge amount of people pour through the doors for this because it just speaks to so many people, and it's called Worthy. And it's all about reconnecting with your belief in yourself. And this is something so deeply close to me and Jillian, but I'll just speak for me. I know she's going to speak to this separately and in her discussion, but I didn't believe in myself. And I'm still working to constantly anchor into connecting with my security and my esteem and build that, because that's the number one fear story, is like lack of esteem in myself. And sometimes I just don't see what other people see. Like I have people shine this beautiful light on me and they're like, that's you, that's you. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking? What are you on? And they're like, you just live with it and you don't get it because you're with it all the time. And so you don't appreciate yourself. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. Okay, but thank you I'm so grateful you appreciate me. But I'm like, you're such a beautiful person that you appreciate me and you love me. But they're like, but that's because it's you. And so we all struggle with this in our own ways, whether we consciously accept it. Sometimes the most confident or arrogant people are the most low self-esteem people in the world.
Yes.
Oftentimes they're the one, like the bullies are the ones, it's actually from a place of lack, a feeling of incompetency and needing to be big and strong-arm people because they actually feel so little inside themselves. So they have to compensate for that, overcompensate for that. And then there's other people that they're just so soft and they're overgiving because they don't feel like anything they do is enough. They feel like they always have to earn love and that they're not worth the love and they have to prove they're worth it. And who they're really proving it to is actually themselves, because they just want the validation in order to feel whole and full in themselves. But then they feel it and they're made to feel wrong. Like I don't want to be ego. I don't want to be, arrogant, or you don't feel like you have permission to actually love yourself or express yourself or represent or advocate for yourself. And we're afraid a lot of the times as women to be too big, to be too loud, to be too seen, because what will people say? What will people think? What will people do? Maybe it'll make us be put in danger, right? Like, what if I want to express myself this way, but this person sees that it's too sexual or it's an advance? Like, right? There's so many stories and there's so many teachings and there's so many real situations that we've been told or warned or witnessed or experienced where we get violated. So we'd rather repress and define ourselves and put ourselves in a cage, in a box, and tame ourselves and shut ourselves in because it feels safe, because we're scared of what might happen if we leave that chamber. But that's not living our lives. So we need to really root into who we are, anchor into that trust that we are worthy of having a rich life, not rich just in terms of monetary income, but like rich in experience, like freedom, joy, the ability to like really let your heart be felt, let your sacral energy flourish, let ourselves thrive and experience life to the fullest, to live abundantly, to say yes to what you want to say yes to, and not worry how that's going to make somebody else feel, but just recognize you're responsible for how you feel, and everybody's responsible for their own feelings. And of course we can still have compassion and be impeccable with our words and whatnot, but you get to live your life fully and expressed in honor of your truth, in honor of your heart, in honor of your soul, in honor of your desires, in honor of your passions and your purpose, and just live your life full out. You know, I'm a dancer, and so when we were young, it's like, do it full out. Like, you know, if you're marking it, you're only like moving through life, like you're doing the dance, but you're not really like expressing it full. Yes, it's so refined and limited, and it's just like you're going through the actions, but there's nothing there. There's no energy behind it. There's no passion. There's no performance. You wouldn't get on stage marking it. People would be like, what the heck is this? If they paid money, they wouldn't want to come to that show. So imagine that life is your stage, and like, go full out, put your full heart and soul into it, pour love into what you do, and get lit up, and like say yes to what you want to say yes to. And if the fear arises, just tune in. Where is that coming from? It's still valid. What is it showing me about myself? How do I need to work on myself to feel secure so that I can do the thing that I'm feeling called to? And Worthy is a really powerful program. Jillian and I both offer together, and so she offers human design in it. There's some human design guidance, there's resources available in it, and it's a beautiful community in that space as well. So for everyone who was offered it free in the past, when we first ran it, they had the option to stay in the container for a really affordable price. And so a bunch of people opted for that because they just wanted to stay with that as their toolkit, because it offers chakra balancing, there's guided visualizations and meditations, there's energy clearing, there's teachings, there's journal questions, like just there's little so there's access. So I mentioned about the 5 love languages, there's a post about that, and there's we speak about so much in it, and it's all about reconnecting you to your belief in yourself. For me, that's so important, because if it wasn't for other people believing in me, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm so grateful. When I couldn't see in myself what they saw in me, I opened myself up to believe what they're saying could be true, even though I rejected it at first because I was rejecting myself. I still, something was waking up. There was a seed planted inside of me. And so I allowed myself to start to explore and discover a little bit more. Like, you know, you take, sometimes it's a baby step, sometimes it's just a giant leap. Everyone's in a different point in their lives and a different point in their own relationship to themselves. But it could be just the smallest thing that speaks to you. And if you can just give yourself the experience to be available to watch, to listen, to learn, to explore something that's maybe a realm of what you haven't experienced, or it's something you experience all the time, if it's said in a way that you've never heard it, or at a time when you're needing it, whatever gets channeled and is that opportunity to receive insight, receive awareness, receive clarity, to be guided, to have your prayer be answered, to have your inquiry or imploration be provided to you. Just don't know what is meant for you until you feel it, until you've experienced it, right? It's even like you and I, Carla, today, you're like, I have this dream. It makes total sense now when we're connecting. It's like, wow, no mistakes, right? It's that feeling of no mistakes. We are divinely led, but are we available to trust? And a lot of the times we're just so in our lives, we're so in the everyday, we're so in the like hustle bustle of our lives, head down, just getting by, that it takes something big to wake us up. And that can be a hard thing, or that can be a really beautiful thing. So really allowing yourself to open to see the possibility, and let there be light in your life. Let yourself look up to the light and trust it's coming there to guide you to what you're desiring, that beautiful, easeful experience. And be okay with getting a little bit out of your comfort zone, because trusting that shaking things up a little bit and doing things a little bit differently, that's still safe because you're rooted in you. You're with you no matter where you go. And so even if it feels a little foreign to you and a little bit unfamiliar, don't let those fears of it being different make you automatically dismiss and reject it because you're scared of the unknown. Trust in yourself. Believe in yourself that when you show up, you're going to rise into greatness, because you are. It's all happening for you. Walk with the trust and the security anchored in your truth that you are meant for beautiful, extraordinary things. And those things can't happen unless you move towards them. So let yourself be led.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. And if someone would like to work with you, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, thank you for asking that. Yes, so there's a few different ways. So my name is Nadia. I'm on, so our business Instagram is both Jillian and I. So if they want to reach out and see what Rise has going on, our website's www.rise, R-I-S-E, wellness, WELLNESS, collective, collective.com. So that's our website. We'll post things on there like content. We have a blog as well. So sometimes we get this like inspirational, insightful hit. So there's free content. We also have a Facebook page, Rise Wellness Collective, and our logo is turquoise and peach, and it's like a white sun rising, because there's a few different people with the similar names, so it can be hard to find the right one. And on Instagram, we're at Rise Wellness Collective, and it's all one word, both in the website, on Facebook, there's spaces, but on Instagram, it's all one word. So at Rise Wellness Collective, it's Jillian with a J and Nadia that you'll be able to reach out to. We have also different free resources if you're looking for that, you can reach out to us. We have a few master classes that we held. We've got paid offerings happening every time, all the time, sessions available. So Jillian does one-on-one empowerment coaching. She does tarot readings. She does human design coaching. She does monthly full moon workshops, which are awesome. So that's a great opportunity as well to just dive within yourself. I offer distance chakra balancing. I offer virtual sessions, energy healing sessions. You can also email us, risewellnesscollective@gmail.com, if you want to connect and try to book a session, or just even to implore into, this is where I'm at. What are your suggestions? Because sometimes it's really overwhelming to know what to do when you're in a funk. So we're really happy to just like guide people to, it might be a course that we have, it might be a master class. We just want to really support you wherever you're at and evolve with you. We are constantly putting out different offers. We do retreats, we do workshops. We've been offering in-person goddess gatherings and circles. So we have another one coming up June 25th as well, and it's going to be in Toronto. So you can keep an eye on our social media or our website. We'll be launching that soon. And it's just always an honor to support people, and we're really flexible. So if something is a special request, a lot of times we'll do workshops for people. We've done bridal showers. Like the possibilities are endless, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure, and I am so glad you are part of the summit, and thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Carla. You're such a gift. It's such an honor to be part of this vision, and this experience has been so wonderful. You're beautiful. I appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing. It's a gift.